A friend from uni and I have this saying in French to describe the Baltics: "Nos belt," or Baltic babies. Because having studied their history, they never catch a fucking break and are always fighting for dear life. So, of course, they are our greatest inspiration in life. Which is funny when you consider that they count a whopping population of 5 million in total, but as we say in Italian, it's in the small barrel that you find the best wine. As soon as I arrived in Helsinki, deprived of a home, I went to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and ate sardines from the Baltic Sea, tried to decipher Estonian with the little Finnish I knew, and nothing prevented me from falling in love with a completely unknown city within 24 hours of being there. So, of course, when the subject of a week-long break comes up, Elena and I start talking about bus hopping through the capitals of the Baltics. Mind you, we started talking about it in September for the break. We had at the end of October and found ourselves on the Lux Express website a whopping 5 days before departure. By the end of the trip, having had such a good time, we discussed with shock how smoothly and nicely everything went. So, I'm going to set the scene. Helsinki on a bright afternoon, albeit a chilly one. We are waiting at the gate for the ferry that is going to cross the sea. We have 2 hours fighting against motion sickness, that is more for me than for Anna, and the extremely loud 50-year-old man that is singing 80s bangers from the karaoke station. Then, with two of the heaviest and smallest backpacks I have ever seen, we cross the city and hop on a bus as the day is already reaching its end. Here we are confused because screens are provided on the back of the seat, we have a map of the route we are going in, yet as we stop near Tartu, we have to panic and ask the driver if he is in fact stopping where we need him to. Side note, I thought I was an anxious traveler, but I found a companion that not only indulges me in the anxiety-driven hallucinations, but is potentially more stressed than I am. The same pattern repeats itself numerous times throughout the trip as we asked every single driver, sorry, are you actually stopping where you said you would stop? Our first stop is Tartu, where my French-Finnish teacher, as she's French and she teaches me Finnish, lives. Kind enough to host us in her home, she also provides incredible food and the most interesting company. As soon as we set foot into Eva's home, she already has a honey cake, the Russian one, sitting next to 3 plates. As she serves each of us, a slice falls on the side and she takes it for herself because she says tradition wants that if the slice stands, you still have hope to get married. But if it doesn't, well, hopeless you are. So, of course, the first one falls on the side and she is quick to take it for herself, while we are on the edge of our seats to see what the following two will decide our fate to be. Do not worry, not all hope is lost. This house is filled with the love and care she has for other people. Eva says that she isn't much of a homemaker, but seldom I have found four walls to feel so homey as this do. She always keeps honey cake in the fridge because it's Oleg's favorite, and without a second of hesitation, she hands me over an old Italian mocha after I told her I hadn't tasted espresso in 3 months. The door is always open and people come and go as they please. You don't need an invite here. It feels like an arbor. Shapes of people arrived and load off whatever it is that they bring with them as she makes tea and music and conversation. That's how we end up in the most particular context, even though for her nothing feels more normal. On the couch are sitting an Udmurt man, an Estonian one, our French teacher. On the stool next to them, Elena and I, as we all listen to another Udmurt guy playing traditional music. As soon as he finishes, they start speaking in Russian about the printing of a book they are working on. Of course, we steal the vanilla brioche and look at each other with a grin on our faces, as neither of us has probably ever been in a more random situation. But that is what I mean when I say that Eva makes for an incredible homemaker. She speaks so many languages that she can make everyone feel at home, as she greets me in French, but as soon as I tell her that Ellen doesn't speak it, she switches to Italian without even batting an eye. Early in the morning, I find her hunched over the stove making Udmurt salty pancakes, which she describes as an excuse to put jam on. I liked it so much it is now permanently burned in my mind as I spend my days looking for an excuse to put marmalade on. I ask her, do we really need an excuse? Taken aback, she answers, of course not, but it's nice. And it is. As I always find and read too much into stuff, I consider it endearing to imagine every morning a hunt for the best piece of toast. It usually is the other way around. You have bread because it's filling, and you then decide what worthy spread to cast upon it. Now I see jam as the star, the main and only focus of my attention. I could eat it straight from the jar, though admittedly it has seldom crossed my mind. Because of our restricted budget, but mostly because we inhabit the spirits of an 19th century explorer, we decide to wander around the city with no destination, let alone any kind of orientation. I admit that I am usually the one with Google Maps open on my phone checking where we are, and I always do a poor job of it. But my friends do even a poorer one, so I am, to say the least, ecstatic when I see Elena taking the lead on the subject. We walk to the botanical garden and immediately take a break to eat biscuits under a gazebo for a longer time than we have walked to get there. Elena says that it seems like a far west kind of city, and to be completely honest, we did see a fox next to the bus stop. At the same time, walking to dinner on our last night, we saw dozens of classical statues crowded into a university class for our students to practice with. I guess everything balances out. As you can imagine, on day 3 of our trip, our feet are already sore, we are worried that the hotel doesn't exist, and the backpacks for some reason feel heavier than they did before. I did admittedly buy 2 books and was gifted one as well as the aforementioned mocha, so my back hurts for very real reasons. This also provided Eleanor with some context to the person I am. Not only was she utterly shocked when I whipped out my book on the ferry because, to quote her, I have never seen someone take out a book to chill, but she, as all my friends do, had to forcibly retain me from spending large sums of cash on printed paper. The guy that greets us at the reception, I named him Jimmy, was exceptionally tired and expressionless, though it might be the Slavic stare or a very long night, so I'm not holding it against him. As soon as we find a room, happy squeals fill the air because it is so cozy and neither of us wants to go out quite yet. When we finally do, we are in for a surprise. Riga is majestic, so far beyond our expectations that the locals might be offended. We play a terrible game of chess because even though I know the rules, I am terrible at it, and we taste Latvian beer while deciding where to go next. Outside, we are freezing and it's raining, and we might just be overstimulated, but that does not stop us from wandering yet again in the streets before illumination strikes us. We want to eat Georgian food because Eleanor's friends know a great place. One thing to know, I am fully adapted to Finnish rhythms. I eat dinner at 6 p.m., whereas Elena is more patriotic than me, so before eating, we have to wait. Walking through the Art Nouveau district, we are the only 2 imbeciles screaming, oh my god, are you seeing this? That building is so beautiful. Oh my god, what color is that? I would love to live there, and so on and so forth. Google Maps and Google in general suggest the Triumph Arc next to the gardens. Our expectations build up. I say, oh god, this is going to be like Bucharest or Paris. The Arc is at the crossing. There's going to be so much traffic and then it's going to be great because it's dark and there'll be lights. Now, I leave you to imagine how disappointed we were when the arc in question is 5 meters tall and 4 meters wide. Only 2 small lights are shining and it's not even a roundabout. Still, it's a smaller disappointment than the Georgian restaurant hostess telling us to leave because they are working on reservations only. Elena took it very seriously. I haven't seen her quite this angry before, which was fun, but I couldn't possibly laugh or she would have struck me in the face. Do not fear, my friends, because we did, in the end, eat khachapuri and kalinki the following day. On the table, there must have been around half a kilo of cheese, which made us extremely worried about the 6 hours of traveling by bus we had to do to get to Kaunas. Now, the actual highlight of our stay in Riga was breakfast, of course, because If in Helsinki we are down bad for supermarkets, while travelling, our hearts are seduced quite intensely by a good breakfast spread. I overkilled it with 3 coffees and more cheese, while my travelling companion, though not a breakfast girl by any means, tasted every single little sweet treat that was available. Now, no one can ever accuse us of not appreciating local food. In Lithuania, we also encountered an insane amount of Russian speaking people, to the point that we made up a game, we did not play it, but would have been fun, called Take a Shot Every Time You Hear Russian Being Spoken. I guarantee you that within 15 minutes, we would have blacked out. We stayed in Lithuania for a whole 3 days. I, however, enjoyed my time way too much to be a diligent vlogger, so I'll cram as much information in as little time as possible. So, we arrive, it's dark, it's late, we can't feel our legs or our backs. The station is very sketchy, so Elena starts panicking and rightfully wants to get to the hostel. We walk for 10 minutes that feel like 2 hours. We get to the room very far down a narrow grey corridor. We crash and we wake up 10 hours later. It is now morning, and you guessed it, it is raining. We joined two of our friends in a coffee shop, and here I have for the first but not last time the pleasure of seeing my friend lighting up like a Christmas tree. I can tell she missed her uni friends so much. I can see the sheer joy of being in their presence, so it's a truly beautiful breakfast. We hijack a Kaunas University class, which is actually a tour of the National Theatre, and the teacher doesn't know the faces, so she thinks we are her pupils. The funniest part is when she asks us to introduce ourselves, and we repeat 4 times, "Hi, I'm XYZ, I'm from Italy, I study international relations." You had to be there. The theatre is exceptional, and we get the chance to talk to locals about Russian interference and the cultural budget being cut. Even though Finland has closed the borders, it is in the Baltics that Russia is feared the most. But to keep up with the USSR team, we go for lunch in an Uzbek restaurant and chit chat for about 5 hours around a delicious yet enormous quantity of food. The girls call Kaunas the Furli of the Baltics, but having been there, I can assure you, Kaunas is thrice as beautiful. That afternoon, we walked and walked and walked some more because, of course, we had to see everything there was. If I laughed a lot with Elena, it was nothing compared to the stomachache I had from laughing so much with her friends. And then, to rightfully celebrate Elena's birthday, we decided to go out that night, which of course required a much needed scrolling time in religious silence in our beds, in a state I can only compare to a coma. Did I mention we were tired? Nonetheless, we motivated ourselves to go get a drink and then up to a disco. In the shabby and poorly lighted alley in front of the club, Lara takes out a donut and a candle, and we sing Happy Birthday to a cute, albeit extremely embarrassed Elena. Dancing to white girl music for 2 hours straight with not an ounce of alcohol in your system is not for the weak. I did start to think I was lobotomized, but we survived, and the following day arrived in Vilnius in splendid shape. Now, Vilnius. What a nice city. Tiny and cozy and rainy. Yet again. But the girls proved to be incredible tourist guides, and we enjoyed Lithuanian food for lunch and a gigantic pizza for dinner. Now, this trip was entirely too nice to be resumed in 15 minutes, but I will always be thankful for the friend that accompanied me in these travels, because if I had been alone in those 12 hours by bus, in the night, I would have gone mad.